Oh, thank you, Fred. God morning, Unity Church of Overland Park, and all who have joined us through Facebook or YouTube this morning. God morning to you. This is the day that God as us has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning, Fred. Good morning, Reverend Carrie. Good morning, Terry Sturgeon.
Good morning, everyone.
Fred, do you have a joke?
I have lots of them, but none I can tell in church.
Aw, Fred.
No, I didn't have one, but I just made one up a couple of minutes ago because people were asking me earlier.
Oh, no.
And so here, this is fresh. What did the hippopotamus say to the giraffe?
What did the
I don't know.
hippopotamus
I wasn't
say?
there. I wasn't there. What do I know? See, you laughed. You shouldn't laugh.
I'm laughing. This is a nervous laughter. Like, are we losing watchers right now? Are people dropping off, going to some other church?
Well, that might be what I'm here to do.
I love it, Fred. We so appreciate you, and we so appreciate the gift of music that you bring to us,
Thank you. Yeah.
as well as joyful humor. So thank you. We'll hear more from Fred during our meditation.
All right.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We honor in unity, we honor all paths to God, we honor all people, and we behold the Christ in you, as you, and through you. This is the truth of your being, and we see this regardless of any outer circumstance, regardless of what faith you proclaim, what politics you proclaim, what gender expression or sexual orientation you proclaim. We see you, and we behold the Christ as you. Let's begin with one of Unity's foundational affirmations and statements of truth. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God, the source of all good.
We're coming on Martin Luther King Day very shortly. In fact, tomorrow, I believe that is. And we have a vision. The church has a vision. It's a dream. It's something that the entire Unity organization has. So please join in me in affirming this truth, this dream that is coming true as we speak it into mind. A world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening.
I feel it, Carrie. Thank you. We also have a commitment to affirming our future space affirmation as our future space team continues to search for our right and perfect future home, our building for us to do the work of our ministry in. So we together affirm this statement. We are grateful for our new spiritual home that empowers us to fulfill our mission. And so we continue our service with the reading of the daily word, and I'm so delighted to bring Jacquie Galat. She has been a member of Unity Church of Overland Park for 25 years, and she has actively served in many different ways, including teaching second and third graders in UCOP Kids. So Pam, I hope you heard that. And Jeannie, we might be talking to you because we are recruiting volunteers for our elementary age kids. During the last 3 years, Jacquie became even more involved, actively serving on several UCOP committees, including the ministerial search team. And she was very delighted to serve on that team, and I was delighted to have met her that way. Jacquie says she feels especially honored to read today's daily word on dreams because it is so matched to her own career coaching business, which is named Your Dream Stream. Jacquie helps people find their dream career and life. Welcome this morning, Jacquie Galat.
Thank you, Reverend Jacquie. Well, we really do have one of my favorite words, dream. And today's affirmation is, I turn my dreams into reality. Some of the most audacious, bold, history-making events began as dreams, born in the imaginations of those who understood the promise and potential of humanity and worked to realize their vision. Even if my dreams do not change the world, they have the power to change my life. Today, I remember those whose dreams were fueled by their hard work, faith, and determination. I look to their example when my dreams feel far away and I'm running low on hope. I rekindle my dreams through my imagination, which keeps them vivid. My strength helps me remain committed to their realization, and my zeal renews my enthusiasm to work toward creating the life and the world of my dreams. And our scriptural quote for today is from Joel chapter 2, verse 28. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. And so the affirmation again is, I turn my dreams into reality.
Thank you, Jeannie. That was lovely and a wonderful lead into where we are going in this coming week. So let's just take a nice deep breath and sink even deeper into that thought of dreams, into the possibilities. We get comfortable in our chair and we allow ourselves to become even more present with that Christ within, with that Christ that is in, through, as and around each one of us. Not only those of us viewing this service today, but those who may be seeing it in the future, and those who are never going to see it, but we know we are one in God. And therefore, as we speak our truth into our prayers, they do not only affect us, they affect others. So we are grateful for this opportunity today to sink into that inner space and allow ourselves to simply know that truth and peace and love and life and joy are the truth of our experience here on earth as we choose to move into that truth. We all have dreams. Our country has a dream. Our church has a dream. And we must hold to that dream and know that dream. Taste it, feel it. And as we do so, we realize that we are one in spirit, one in all. And we allow ourselves to embrace that truth as we go forward in our lives. To embrace what we see in what we would like to call reality on earth as something that is manifested to be seen and to be discerned as what we want or what we don't want in our world. And so we move forward today into that which we truly seek to know in the world. We release the fear and the doubt, and we move forward in deep, deep gratitude, knowing that we are always guided by Spirit, by that love that is never ending. And so we release this prayer into mind, knowing that we are guided and guarded by a divinity that is beyond our true comprehension. But as we relax into it, it carries us through everything. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that beautiful opening prayer. And so it is that we sink into the truth of what we seek in the world, the truth that we pursue, our pursuit of truth, and at the root of that is our pursuit to know God. And so now is the time in our service where we offer up our tithes and love offerings and we bless those gifts. And so you have an opportunity now to either contribute online at ucop.org/giving, or if you prefer to write a check, you can mail that in and send it to our office at 535 North Merlin Road, Suite A in Olathe, Kansas. The address is there on the screen and you can find it on our website as well. And so knowing that we are all united in an abundant universe, we are all one in and through the abundance that is Spirit, that is God. We take this truth, we infuse it into the gifts that we offer, into our money, into our cash, into our checks, with vision, with dreams, with the pursuit to know God more in this world. And together we speak our love offering blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am joy-filled and grateful. Today, speaking of our blessings, we are blessed by the music of our own Terry Swope, and he will open us now with the song Dark Side by Johnny Lang.
Look at the man with a smile on his face. Looks like he's always feeling good. Sometimes you might wanna take his place. Sometimes I think you would. When the sun is going down and there's no place to hide, even in the brightest light, you might lean toward the darker side. Look at the people that learn how to lie so easy. They learn how to lie to get what they need. And after they got what they needed, it turns into a simple case of greed. When they no longer feel ashamed and they lost all sense of pride, misery loves company and it's lonely on the darker side. The darker side, yeah. And when the party's over and the music has died, you'll be dancing to the music, yeah. You'll be somewhere on the darker side. You can get lost on the darker side. Don't go dancing on the darker side. Darker side. You better watch out for the darker side.
Thank you, Terry, for that great song, Darker Side by Johnny Lang. Oh, some of you might be wondering, what? Wait, what? Darker side? What are we talking about? We are all about the love and light. We're not about the darker side. The darker side has no power over us. And yes, that's true. We believe that and we experience in that truth. Today, we kick off a 5-week series, New Thought for a New Year. And my intention is this is kind of like a back to basics of unity and new thought teachings and principles. And I want to start out with today, spiritual positivity versus toxic positivity, or positive spirituality versus toxic positivity. And it is so important for me to give space for us to have this conversation and to bring this awareness into us, into our beings, because most of us, if not, dare I say, all of us, have been guilty of practicing toxic positivity at some point or another. And that's just because we are wired to avoid our painful feelings. We are wired to want to fix things either in ourselves or in other people. And we also, we are giving, loving people. And so we want to offer words of comfort. And sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we don't know exactly what to say or what to do or how to fix something. And so we rely on what could be called platitudes or quippy spiritual antidotes. You know, it's all good. Don't worry about it. It's all in divine order. God wouldn't give you more than you can handle. And then the more deeper, shame-inducing, blame-inducing types of sayings, or what are you know, maybe a question, what are you holding in consciousness that is causing this pain, diagnosis, experience in your life? And we do these things, we say these things with good intentions. We mean well. And so what I want to say up front is that as we dive into this idea of toxic positivity, because it's a thing. And as we dive into it, if I say something, or if you think of something, or of a situation or an instance where you were engaging in that practice of toxic positivity, or we'll get into a little bit of metaphysical malpractice, this is not meant to bring shame and blame to you, but this is about bringing awareness, illumination. This is a process of us looking at our own shadow side as a movement, as a unity movement, as a new thought movement, that we do a service to ourselves and to each other and to the movement if we are willing to examine our own shadow side, if we're willing to do the deep work of evolution, of evolving in our own understanding and our awareness about the way we practice our teachings. So, yes, we are a positive thinking movement. You can look that up on Wikipedia. Will say that New Thought is founded in positive thinking principles. You can look it up on Centers for Spiritual Living. Will say something about happiness, as a pursuit of happiness. And even Unity describes itself as a positive path for spiritual living. So here's the word positivity, positive thinking. And I want to read to you from The Essential Charles Fillmore, which is a revised edition, and it's new. You can get it at unity.org. It's pretty heady, but it covers Charles Fillmore's teachings. And here's a quote I would like you to hear. The real of the universe is held in the mind of being, and that's a capital B, which we know indicates the divine God. So I'll say it again. The real of the universe is held in the mind of being as ideas of life, love, substance, intelligence, truth, and so forth. Okay. The mind of being as ideas of life, love, substance, intelligence, truth, and so forth. Those are the positive attributes of God. This is what we talk about when we're talking about a positive path of spiritual living, that we hold positive ideals. And so what would negative ideals look like? What would they sound like? If we looked at those same words, life, love, substance, intelligence, truth, life, the negative of that would be death. Love, the negative of that would be hate. Substance, the negative would be lack. Intelligence, the negative would be non-being. Truth, the negative of that we could say is illusion. So what I want us to note about that is that there are some spiritual practices, there are some religions or denominations or dogmatic teachings out there that actually do take those ideas and put them out there. And so even in traditional Christianity, where the teachings are often around, in many churches, not all, but around the idea that we are sinners and that it is all of our negative attributes that prevent us from experiencing God's grace, God's mercy, God's favor, if you will. So that's death, right? That we have an opportunity to receive eternal life or finite death. It's a lack, that we don't have what we need in order to access the divine. It's in a way, it's non-being, the opposite of intelligence. It's non-being, that we don't have a divine presence or spark within our own being. And it's illusion. It's the opposite of truth, in that even Scripture teaches the concept of original blessing, that man is born created in the image and likeness of God. This is original blessing. God said it was good. So it wasn't until centuries later that people started architecting the teachings of Jesus in such a way that the positive teachings were not emphasized. And you can even trace back into Christianity even after Jesus was crucified and find still that there were positive teachings. Jesus's platform was all about love, right? It was all about love and building a brotherhood, sisterhood among nations, among peoples. So when we talk about being a positive path for spiritual living, it's not at all meant to just be about using positive truth statements or thinking positive thoughts or being the presence of love and light in any situation and pursuing happiness that is just, sort of like a spiritual Band-Aid that we put over deep wounds. And furthermore, it can be so dangerous to our emotional well-being, not just our spiritual well-being, but our emotional well-being. Stanford did a 10-year study, and they learned that the act of denying our negative feelings, which many of us love to do, right? No, I'm not angry. I don't have sadness. We push it away. We deny it. But the act of denying it as a coping mechanism is actually linked to higher levels of depression. So the more you are inclined to push those feelings away and ignore them and deny them, the more you will actually experience higher levels of depression. So just psychologically, it's not a good practice. And it gets really dangerous when we insert these types of thoughts or thinking into other people, because what happens is we are actually not practicing empathy or compassion. And that tends to be a signal that we aren't really sitting with our own negative feelings. If we are finding that we can't engage in empathy and conversation with other people, it's likely because we aren't actually sitting and experiencing and acknowledging our own difficult, negative feelings. And if we don't do that, we can't do the work of healing, the true work of healing. So when we talk about being the presence of love and light in the world, yes, we want to be that, but we have to do that honestly and authentically. And the only way to do it honestly and authentically is to really sit with the fullness of who we are as humans and as the divine. So yes, we have the presence of the infinite within us. We have access to the infinite wellspring of love, of wisdom, of understanding, of strength. And we are fully human. And our spiritual work is not the pursuit of happiness, but the pursuit of God, the pursuit of living fully to the fullest our humanity and our divinity. And in that, we discover meaning and purpose. And those are actually meaning. When we have meaning in our lives, that actually results in a happiness that lasts, a happier life that lasts. It doesn't mean that we're not going to experience painful circumstances. It doesn't mean that we aren't going to come upon hard times and challenges. There's a woman who's been sort of named the most positive person in the world. And her name is Diane Barbarian. And she has throat cancer that has spread to other parts, I think, like thyroids. She is blind. She has a degenerative eye disease that has caused blindness, and she's about 60 years old. So it's not the circumstances. It's not that we don't have challenging circumstances in our lives, but it's about how we pursue any activity in which we engage. Is how we vision our lives. So she is known to be an inspirational person. When people have traveled with her, she does triathlons all over the world. And when people travel with her, either to support her or to be on a team with her, they walk away saying, well, I was there to help her, and I left feeling inspired and helped just in my own life. She has such a positive outlook and positive affect in her life and about her circumstances. So again, though, that's not about ignoring any situation or circumstance. It's not about denying the facts that she may be living with cancer, that she may be living with a degenerative eye disease, but it's about living fully even in the midst of that. It's about trusting that the source of your joy and happiness is not in what's happening in your body or in your relationships or in your life. It's about what's happening in your connection to your divinity and your humanity. Your divinity and your humanity. So what happens in toxic positivity is you come upon someone, a friend who's experiencing a difficult challenge, who has either just experienced a loss, is grieving, and instead of offering true help, you might say, it's all good. It's all in divine order, and we just have to trust God. And you hear the sound of that we aren't actually engaging authentically. It's not that that's not true. It's not that that's not true. But what happens is that person's feelings and circumstance is not validated. And that's why it's called toxic positivity, because it doesn't give room for the person to be right where they are. The Bible scripture is filled with many, many circumstances in which people find themselves, their life threatened. I mean, Jonah in the belly of a fish, Jesus approaching the cross. Father, take this cup from me, asking for God to take away this experience. There are so many challenges over and over again. So there's nowhere in that teaching, in scripture teaching, that tells us to ignore, forget, deny, repress our challenging circumstances. But we are to live through them and realize the presence of our faith, of our divine strength in and through these challenging circumstances. But the only way we can do that is if we authentically acknowledge what we are experiencing. That is the only way. So Mike, I'm going to have you put up that graphic. So I found this graphic, and there are several out there on the internet, of how to avoid toxic positivity. And I love, because it gives us the examples on the left-hand side. You'll get over it. You'll get over it. And you might mean, it's well-meaning, you'll get over it. This too shall pass. You're going to be okay. And these are like Band-Aid, 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 that sort of creates this inner violence, because then someone feels guilty for being sad or being angry or feeling hopelessness or feeling apathy. And then they're deprived of the opportunity to receive true support, but also the opportunity to be with those feelings in a way that results in true spiritual growth. So instead of saying you'll get over it, you could say it's hard, but I believe in you. Instead of saying, don't be so, I'm having a hard time reading that. Let me look on my phone here. I think I've got the picture. Okay, here we go. And don't be so negative. There we go. Don't be so negative. You could, instead of that, say, it's okay to feel bad sometimes. And do you hear the difference? Empathy, compassion. It's okay. It's okay to feel like crap. What about always look at the bright side? Again, well-meaning and also tone deaf. It can be difficult to see the good in this situation, but we'll make sense of it when we can. Do you hear the empathy in that? Do you hear the compassion? Instead of forcing someone to just ignore it, just move on. And what that usually means is that the one speaking those sort of platitudes or quippy spiritual antidotes typically is the one who is uncomfortable with their own feelings in the situation. And so they're projecting and trying to get out of their own discomfort. Another common one, failure is not an option. So you just got to buck up. Just buck up. Or we could say failure is part of growth. Failure is part of growth. Think happy thoughts. Just, we're terrible about this in New Thought Unity. Just say your affirmations. Just think happy thoughts. You've just got to think positively, positively, positively. Again, thinking positively. Oh, where'd that book go? Thinking positively is not about happiness, is not about forcing oneself to think happy thoughts and to, in the midst of receiving a cancer diagnosis, forcing yourself to believe that it's not real. Cancer is not the truth of your being, but cancer is real. Cancer is a true experience. Cancer is something you might live with, but it's not the truth of who you are. It has no power over you. Do you hear the difference? So the truth, life, love, substance, intelligence, truth, life, love, substance, intelligence, truth. We speak those. Those what our affirmations are based off is speaking truth, affirming truth, not doing away with negative feelings, not engaging the inner violence of forcing ourselves to feel good even when we feel terrible. That's not the practice of using our affirmations. It's not the correct practice of using our affirmations. Well, I'm just going to affirm that all's going to be okay. What does that even mean? It might not be okay. So how can you affirm that? How can you affirm that everything is going to be okay? What you can affirm is that you are going to be okay through the power of faith, through your own inner strength, divine strength, through your own understanding and wisdom. But what okay means and what okay looks like in your life might look like it does for Diane. It might look like degenerative eye disease. It might look like an experience of cancer. Those experiences don't define your okayness. And it's so hard for us, especially when we're watching our loved ones go through something like that. And so it can be so difficult for us to just be in the pain of it and the discomfort of it. But when we can do that and speak truth, that this experience has no power over you, then we engage true positivity. Positivity that induces spiritual growth, induces an experience of God, creates an experience of God, an experience of compassion and love. Failure is a part of growth. Things can get really tough. I am here for you. Things can get really tough. I see it. And it's no measure of your spiritual prowess. It could be worse. Or we could say, sometimes we experience bad things. How can I support you? It could be worse. Sometimes sounds like, well, at least I still have my life. At least I still have my health. At least I still have, friends. At least I still have this. At least I still have my house. My car got repossessed, but at least I still have my house. I lost my job, but at least I still have, my family and we're healthy. Yes, that's true. But when we live in the least, we are actually not living in gratitude. So we want to flip those words around instead of thinking, well, it could be worse, and focusing on, well, I've lost this, but I have all these toys, and bring them in as a source of support. That's saditude, not gratitude. When we're living in gratitude, sometimes we can experience bad things. How can I support you? How can I support myself? Toxic positivity isn't always put onto us by someone else. Sometimes it happens within our own mind. So how do I hold on to my gratitude even when I feel like I've lost so much in a true and authentic way? It does not require me to dismiss or deny the pain of loss. It does not require me to dismiss or deny anger. It does not require me to dismiss or deny any sense of feeling lost or overwhelmed or hopeless. It requires me to come into the fullness of the presence of God within me. And that, my friends, is easier said than done sometimes. So when we give space, Mike, you can go ahead and take that graphic down. When we give space for empathy and compassion, when we give space for people and for ourselves to be in our own negative feelings, we give space for true healing to happen. True healing. We don't put Band-Aids on deep wounds. It takes more work for healing a deep wound. And that's true physically. It's as true physically as it is emotionally and spiritually. It takes time. We are infinite and we live in time. The other thing I want to talk about is spiritual bypass. Again, it's something that we tend to be guilty of. It's part of our shadow side. And of course, because we are human and we want to avoid anything painful or ugly or that might bring shame upon us. Spiritual bypass is the practice of using a spiritual teaching to avoid feeling pain. So it's very much related to toxic positivity. And because if someone else is experiencing a painful situation or is not in their joy and their light, you might engage toxic positivity, or you might try to help that person with a spiritual bypass. And so it's all in divine order, or the law of attraction. Oh my gosh, this one is really terrible because that law of attraction is so misused and abused. Like, I create my reality, and whatever I focus on grows, and whatever comes to me in my life is what I have attracted to me in my life. And so when we experience something terrible, there can be this guilt that is present. And someone might even say to you, well, what are you holding in consciousness that has caused that chronic backache? You must be holding something in consciousness. You need to figure out what that is so you can, okay. Or, well, all is well. All is well. Spiritual bypass. We're using a spiritual teaching and truth. Yes, all is truly well. We say it every week. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And because God is, all is truly, truly well. All is well. All is well. Except when it's not. Except when it's not. And we can do both. We are that complex that we can experience the truth that all is well. Because God is, all is truly, truly well. There is good in my life. There is good in me. There is good in the world. And we are so complex that we can experience at the same time of knowing that truth, we can experience tragedy. We can experience utter devastation and still know that all is well at a deep level. But that is for me to know in my life, just as it is for you to know in your life. It's not for me to know for you. I can't convince you of that truth. And the harder I try, the more damage I do to your psyche. So I can hold that knowing for you, just like you can hold that knowing for me, that all is truly well. That yes, I will not receive more than I can handle, but that's a choice that I make. It's not a test delivered to me by God. It's a choice that I make, that this is my circumstance. This is how I find myself. Okay. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to step into my strength. It might not be today. It might not be tomorrow. And guess what? That's okay. And it doesn't mean you are faithless. It doesn't mean you aren't tapping into your divine strength. Sometimes divine strength looks like taking a nap. Sometimes divine strength looks like, I got to put this away because I don't know what to do right now. I don't know. Strength. I don't know. That also looks like wisdom. I don't know. Understanding. And so we sit and we wait upon the Lord. We wait upon God, and our strength shall be renewed. We will walk and not be weary. Sound familiar? The promises are all there. And so it is our deep work as unity practitioners, as truth students, as seekers of God. It is our privilege to do the deep work of being in our humanity, of being in our divinity, and constantly in a state of reconciling the two. And then the next step is to be with each other in that, to be with each other. That I can look out, and it's not a matter of correcting someone and setting them on the right path. If I hear someone engaging toxic positivity in their own mind, or engaging spiritual bypass, avoiding their problems by just being love and light, the presence of love and light everywhere I go, it's not my job to set them right. It's my job to know that they are in the process of living out their greatest good. They are in the process of discovering at a deeper level the love and power of the divine. And it's not for me to judge that it should look any specific way. Just like it's not for me to judge in my own life that it should look any specific way. So when we talk about corrective thought therapy, when we talk about the power of our thoughts and our thinking, that is true. Our thoughts do have creative power in our lives, most specifically when they are paired with our feelings. So whatever thought has an emotional charge to it. That's how that teaching works. So if I'm in grief, that's a release. That's a release of feeling, of emotion, of love lost, of it. And then we can say, well, that's not actual love lost because we never actually lose. We are all one all time. And physical, we aren't bound by the physical world and the physical realm. So it's just love at a deeper level. Do you see the mental gymnastics we have to go through to get there? Well, yes, I will get there in my own time. I will know that as I've experienced the loss of a loved one, I will know, when my stepdad died suddenly of a heart attack back in 2000, one thing that struck me, because they lived on the West Coast, was that I actually felt closer to him because I felt his presence. I felt his presence so strongly with me after he died that it felt actually closer than when he was alive because of the physical distance between us. No one could tell me that. No one could convince me of that. No one could comfort me in that sudden loss. It was catastrophic loss by saying, you will actually feel closer to him because now he's in spirit. He's been released to the full radiance of spirit and of his divinity, and you're actually going to feel closer. Nobody could say that to me. And if they had, I wouldn't have believed it. I would have been mad. But I came to that on my own. I had the space and the time to realize that on my own. So do you see that when we get out of the trappings of toxic positivity and spiritual bypass, we create space for people to heal. We create space for the divine to move in. When we offer our compassion and our empathy, we provide space for connection, for true connection. And that, my friends, is a healing salve. So I want to close with some words by the Dr. Martin Luther King. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. If you were in coffee time last week, you know that I always have to point that out. So his book, Strength to Love, which is beautiful, incredible writing. And he gets into his theology here, which is really amazing because he talks about liberalism. And I think at that time, probably at the time that he was writing it, liberalism is probably what has was part of New Thought because of the way he talks about it. But he was on the fence. Like, he loved, when he went to seminary, he really got into liberalism. And then he backed from that because he felt like it emphasized too much the positive attribute of humanity and discounted our capacity to do evil, is the words he used. So when I first read it, I got really excited. I was like, see, he was totally unity. I knew it. And in his mind, in his examination of it, he thought it was really important to hold in your theology that man has capacity to do terrible things. It's his right to have his own theology, but there are other things that he said too that I think really work with our teachings, and I want to read this to you. The agonizing moments through which I have passed during the last few years have also drawn me closer to God. More than ever before, I am convinced of the reality of a personal God. So this book was written in 1961, or published in 1961. So more than ever before, I am convinced of the reality of a personal God. In the past, the idea of a personal God was little more than a metaphysical category that I found theologically and philosophically satisfying. Now, it is a living reality that has been validated in the experiences of everyday life. God has been profoundly real to me in recent years. I have felt the power of God transforming the fatigue of despair into the buoyancy of hope. I am convinced that the universe is under the control of a loving purpose, and that in the struggle for righteousness, man has cosmic companionship. To say that God is personal is not to attribute to him the limitations of human personality. It is to take what is finest and noblest in our consciousness and affirm its perfect existence in him. It means simply self-consciousness and self-direction. So in the truest sense of the word, God is a living God. In him there is feeling and will, responsive to the deepest yearnings of the human heart. This God both evokes and answers prayer. This is so powerful. I've read it like a dozen times. The practice of knowing our own divinity is what he's talking about. Of knowing our own divinity, that God is personal. It is a personal experience, so personal, we say, that we hold the spark of the divine within us, that we are continuously animated by the one holy presence in the universe, each of us a unique and unrepeatable expression of that holy presence. And so in that truth and knowing, we have work to do. We have work to do in reconciling that experience with our humanity and with everything we experience as human beings in our ego mind, in our small mind. And it's okay. That is the work we are here to do. It is okay if we take time in our healing process. It is okay. It makes us no less faithful. It makes us no less holy. It makes us more fully human. And when we live in the fullness of our humanity in that way, in the pursuit of a deeper experience of God, that is the practice of being light and love in the world. That is the unfolding of our own empathy and compassion, that we may connect more fully in the truth of our oneness, one with another. And this is the power of a positive path for spiritual living. This is the power of positive thinking, that we may stay grounded in the truth. I'm going to invite Fred now to come and play some music for us as we settle for our time of meditation. And so we settle in with a breath. We settle the mind and bring our focus and our attention to the heart space. We close the outer eyes and open the inner eye to the vast expanse of the universe, living, moving, having its very being within us. We affirm that there is no place where God is not. Even on our darkest days, God is present. We allow this truth to permeate every cell of our being, searching for any place within us that has forgotten. Any place that has forgotten the presence of God, that has closed itself off to the love of the universe. This opening is available to us in any moment we so desire it. This is the work of maneuvering our humanity in such a way we stay open to our divinity. We allow God to move in, illuminating us, loving us, being the power and presence active in us, knowing that that power and presence is good. Therefore, we are good. So the next time we stumble upon a quippy spiritual antidote, faith it until you make it. It's all good. All is well. We allow the truth of these statements to seep into the core of our being. At the very same time, we allow whatever we are experiencing to be laid at the altar, knowing that in time, love will do its work within us, its healing work. And we may not know how. We may not see the light at the end of the tunnel. But we can know that in truth, the light is within us every step of the way, regardless of how dark it seems in the outer reality. And so we return to this truth time and time again, bringing our understanding forward, our trust and faith forward, expanding it, that we become the light to our own path, the guiding light to our own path, that we may sit quietly, walk quietly, with the fullness of empathy and compassion with another, knowing the truth and knowing when and when not to speak it, knowing how to be available for fullness of support, how to ask and offer support without crushing the light of another. And so we give thanks, and we turn now to the silence within to reveal within us that which seeks more love and more light. So we give thanks for this opportunity to touch the stillness, for the opportunity to know and be known. We give thanks for the truth that we may return to the altar just as we are, with everything that we have and hold within us, that we are called to be spiritual beings of authenticity, of honesty, and that in this authenticity and honesty, we experience our fullest and greatest spiritual growth and healing. And so we continue on the path, illuminating and illuminated, with gratitude for all that is. Amen. We welcome back now Terry Swope with his song, Empty Hands.
When my hands were empty, when all my hope was gone, I couldn't help but wonder, what had I done wrong? Even though my heart was broken, there was no need to despair, 'cause a vessel must be open to put something better there. into my empty hands. Gently you pour new life for me. Yours is the perfect plan. The ups and the downs were meant to be. Now I understand you needed my empty hands. So forgive me when I doubt it. I admit I sometimes do, or consider giving up when I cannot see the truth. I know I'll never go without it. The deep and bad in love. Into my empty hands. Gently you pour new life for me. Yours is the perfect plan. The ups and the downs were meant to be. And I cannot help but cry to think of the gifts you've given me. Now I understand you needed my empty hands. Thank you for my empty hands.
Sorry. Thank you, Terry Swope, for that song and for your beautiful music today, and Reverend Jacquie for this really insightful, incredible message, helping us think more clearly about all that we know and believe about unity and our relationships with one another. I just wanted to bring you some brief announcements. First is our normal coffee time on Zoom. So join us if you would like to. Just come onto the Zoom. The link is below. It's just such a great time to be able to talk to one another, catch up, ask a few questions, see people at least on Zoom that we don't always get a chance to see in person. So we would love to see you. It starts right after the service and it lasts as long as it lasts, but usually no more than an hour. We'd love to see you. The ID is listed there on the screen. And also just a reminder that the kids will be meeting today with Miss Clarissa. So the UCOP kids will be meeting via Zoom. All of the linked information for the Zoom meeting is listed on the Facebook page, the UCOP Facebook page. So do that. And if you've got a little one in your midst today and you think they'd like to join and learn a little bit with Miss Clarissa today, please join. It will be a wonderful opportunity. She's really great with the little kids. And then also the YOU group, the Youth of Unity group, is meeting today on Zoom. And that information will also be posted on the UCOP Facebook page. And so if you yourself, or if you have somebody in your midst that's between the ages of 12 and 18, then they are always welcome to join on that Zoom link. It's a lot of fun right now. And last but not least, just stay put, because we would like to invite you to stay to listen to Reverend Jacquie and Tammy as they present some information about upcoming workshop opportunities. Have a blessed week.
Hello.
Hello. So let's talk about what's happening this Saturday. We are going to talk about vision boards, but beyond vision boards. So have you ever made one and felt disappointed
Yes.
when something didn't become your reality? I have done that many, many times. And so this time of year, vision boards are all the rage, right? We create them, we gather images and words and pictures, and we put them on the board. And what we are going to talk about this Saturday is the 5 steps we can take beyond the vision board. So there's something that I want to tell you that's very, very important when we are creating what we desire in our life. What it's not about. It's not about perfection. And it's and it's not about feeling those feelings Reverend Jacquie talked about today. They might be uncomfortable. And it's not about waiting to heal before we manifest what we want. What we actually do is manifest in tandem as we're healing, as we're coming to know our true divinity.
So we don't have to pass a test first and then our vision board comes into fruition.
No, you don't. No, you don't. But here's the thing. Having a vision board on its own doesn't do it.
Right. So what happens if I've already made a vision board?
Then keep working with it. What we're going to do is talk about the 5 steps that you use with the vision board.
Okay.
So bring the vision board if you have one this Saturday and join us. We're actually going to take what Reverend Jacquie talked about today and spend more time together in community and go deeper inside of that.
So join us on Zoom. You'll find a place to register on our website, ucop.org, and we'll see you Saturday.
See you Saturday.
All right. And we'll have Reverend Carrie come back on and lead us in the prayer for protection.
All right. So everybody, take a nice deep breath. Breathe into this truth. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well.
And we mean that from the depths of our hearts, not as a spiritual bypass, not as a band-aid to convince us that perhaps we are experiencing something really terrible and undesirable in our lives right now. But what we know is that the truth is all is well. And then we dig deeper to find the source of wellness in our life. Thank you for that, Reverend Carrie. And we close with our mission statement. This is the work that we are called to do. The work of healing. So let's affirm together with that in mind. Our mission statement: Unity Church of Overland Park transforms lives and empowers people to make a difference in the world. Please do join us if you have a few minutes for coffee time. We'll be on Zoom. And then join us next Sunday for week 2 of the series. There's a healing going on. You know, Unity was founded on healing teachings and principles. So we'll welcome Willis White back with us for music. And there's a healing going on. So please tune in. And we'll close now with a song by Terry Swope, Keep On Walking.
Wonder where it leads. The road that lies before you is a mystery. There are no signs to read, but following your dreams will lead you home. Whenever you lose your way and fate's put to the test, and you're too afraid to take another step, whenever the sun fades and it's too dark to see, be a heavy burden on your back. There might be the highest mountain standing in your path. Carry on with grace, thankful for each day in this life. faith's put to the test, and you're too afraid to take another step whenever the sun fades and it's too dark to see. Keep on walking. And if the road you're on comes to an end, just close your eyes and keep on walking. Whenever the sun fades and it's too dark to see, keep on walking. Keep on walking. Keep on walking. There might be a heavy burden on your back. There might be the highest mountain standing in your path. Carry on with grace, thankful for each day in this life. Whenever you lose your way and faith's put to the test, and you're too afraid to take another step whenever the sun fades and it's too dark to see. Keep on walking. And if the road you're on comes to an end, just close your eyes and keep on walking. Whenever the sun fades and it's too dark to see, keep on walking. Keep on walking. Keep on walking.